Have you ever looked at one of those stunning saltwater aquariums, with the bright colors and amazing fish, and thought, wow, I would love to have one, but it just seems so complicated? Well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and break down the whole process step by step, so you can start a beautiful, thriving saltwater tank and get it right from day one. And this right here, this is really the secret sauce. Success in this hobby isn't about luck or having some kind of magic touch. It's all about having a good plan and a little bit of patience. What this really means is that with the right prep work, absolutely anyone can do this successfully.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with picking the tank itself, then walk through the essential gear you're going to need. After that, we'll cover how to get the water chemistry perfect, tackle the super important cycling process, and finally, talk about how to add fish and keep your new ecosystem healthy for the long haul. Okay, let's dive in.
First things first, let's talk about the foundation of your entire miniature ocean. And this is about so much more than just picking a glass box. It's about making decisions right now that are going to set you up for success way down the road.
Now, this might sound a little bit backward, but when you're starting out, a bigger tank is actually easier to manage. Why? Well, with more water, things like temperature and salinity just don't change as quickly. It gives you more wiggle room. It's also so important to think about the practical stuff. Can you actually reach the back of the tank to clean it? And if you think you might want corals one day, plan your rockscape now with that in mind. A little foresight goes a long way.
All right, with the tank sorted, let's get into the life support systems. This is all the gear that's going to work 24/7 to create a stable, healthy world for all your new critters.
Here's your basic shopping list. You absolutely need a heater to keep the temperature steady. Power heads, think of them like underwater fans that create current. A protein skimmer is a total game changer. It acts like a garbage disposal, pulling out waste before it can pollute the water. And of course, you'll need good filtration, the right lighting for what you want to keep, and test kits so you can see what's going on with your water.
And this is a huge piece of advice. It is so much better to invest in a reliable, well-built filter than it is to buy the latest, trendiest gadget. Stability is everything in a saltwater tank, and dependable, boring equipment is going to be your absolute best friend. Trust me on this one. So we have the hardware ready to go. Now it's time to focus on the most crucial element of all, the water itself. Remember, you're not just filling a tank, you're literally creating a tiny ocean from scratch. The key here is starting with a completely clean slate. That means using purified water, ideally from what's called an RO/DI system, which strips pretty much all the impurities out of your tap water. Then you'll add a good quality salt mix, and you always want to mix it in a separate bucket, not in the tank, and then use a tool to make sure the salt level is just right. Okay, I need you to pay close attention here, because this next phase is, without a doubt, the single most important part of setting up a new aquarium. This is where we build the invisible biological engine that's going to keep your fish alive and well. So what is cycling? Well, in simple terms, you're basically growing a huge, invisible workforce of beneficial bacteria. These little guys are your cleanup crew. They eat the toxic ammonia that comes from fish waste and convert it into stuff that's way less harmful. Without this bacterial engine, no fish can survive for long. And the cool part is, you can actually watch this whole process unfold with your water test kits. First, you'll add a source of ammonia, and you'll see it spike on your tests. Then, as the first type of bacteria grows, the ammonia will start to drop, and a second compound, nitrite, will spike. Finally, a second type of bacteria kicks in, eats the nitrite, and you'll see that drop as you start to see nitrates. The whole thing usually takes about a month. And this right here, this is your non-negotiable goal. Before a single animal goes in that tank, you need your test kits to read 0 for ammonia and 0 for nitrite. When your system can take a dose of ammonia and process it all the way down to 0 within 24 hours, you know your biological engine is officially up and running.
All right, now for the moment you've been patiently waiting for, adding life to your aquarium. Your tank is cycled, it's safe, it's ready, but how you add your new residents is every bit as important as the cycle itself.
So you basically have two paths you can take, and the results could not be more different. If you just dump all your fish in at once, you totally overwhelm that brand new biological filter you just spent weeks growing. It causes ammonia spikes, it stresses out the fish, and it usually ends badly. But if you add just 1 or 2 fish at a time over a period of weeks, you give that bacteria time to catch up. The result? A super stable system and happy, healthy animals. When you're picking those very first inhabitants, you want to start with species that are known for being a bit more hardy and forgiving.
And please do your research. You need to know how big that fish is going to get as an adult and what its personality is like. And of course, make sure its needs for things like light and water flow are a good match for the equipment you have.
You've done it. You have a beautiful, stocked, and stable aquarium. So the big question is, how do you keep it that way for years to come? Well, it really all comes down to building a few good habits.
And honestly, one of the best habits you can form is keeping a simple log. I know it sounds a little bit like homework, but just jotting down your test results and when you do a water change can be a lifesaver. It helps you spot patterns, and if a problem starts to creep in, you'll catch it early before it turns into a total disaster. Consistency really is key.
And here is a golden rule, one of the most powerful pieces of advice for any new tank owner. The quickest way to cause problems is to overfeed. It's so simple. More food equals more waste, which equals more ammonia. You only need to feed what your fish can eat in a minute or two. A nice, calm feeding routine is a pillar of a healthy tank.
And really, that's what it all boils down to. It's not about having super expensive gear or tracking down the rarest fish. Success in this hobby really just comes down to these 4 things. Plan patiently, cycle the tank all the way, stock it slowly, and then maintain it consistently. That's the whole formula.
By following this roadmap, you're not just buying a fish tank, you're actually creating a living ecosystem. Yeah, it takes patience, but the reward, having that stunning, vibrant slice of the ocean right there in your home, is so worth it. The only question left is, are you ready to start?